Well, I'm Marty Lennartz, and here we are in Nashville, Tennessee, with Thom York of Radiohead. Thom, thanks so much for coming by.
Marty. How you doing, man?
Doing
Is
quite.
it Marty or Artie?
Marty with an M.
Marty.
Martin.
Martin. Hi, Martin.
Martin. Call me that. I like
Okay,
that.
that's good.
Being here in Nashville, I never thought that I'd have the opportunity to talk to you here, but Nashville's such a city with a musical heritage. Do you feel any kind of vibe in the city musically at all?
I've just got here, so I don't have. I mean, like other people in the band know all about it, and my ignorance is complete. I know nothing. It's just terrible, isn't it?
Well, you'll have
absolutely nothing.
Maybe you have a day to educate.
Yeah. Oh, well, I guess I should really make the effort, shouldn't I? That's terrible, isn't it? I mean, I could have made up loads of stuff, but I don't know anything. So what's the point?
Well, maybe someone should take you to a record store, possibly.
So I'm sure Elvis Costello could tell you more than you need to know. You have to cut that bit out. I'm sorry, I'm very tired.
Well, as well you should be. This is an exciting time, not only for you and the band, but for all your fans as well. You have a new record, a solo record coming out.
Oh, yeah, a solo record, and we're touring, playing new songs with the band that we haven't actually finished or started recording. It's all getting a bit spinning plates like.
Right.
It's getting a bit complicated.
Let's talk a little bit about the new record. It's called Eraser, and it's coming out on the 11th of July.
Yeah.
On one of my favorite labels, UK indie label, XL.
Yeah, they got some good stuff on XL.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about how this solo record came about.
Sort of by accident. It was. I mean, I had wanted to go off and try working on my own in a more sort of electronic-y way, because it's such a sort of dull process for a lot of people sitting in a room together, and it's kind of faster if you just get on with it. And Nigel and I have been talking about doing it for a while. I wanted to do it with Nigel because I needed to have someone I trusted who could sort of, push me to do things I wouldn't normally do. Otherwise there's kind of no point. I would just end up going round and round in circles.
Well, you must have quite a nice relationship with Nigel, having produced so many of your records.
Exactly, and also he has a particular aesthetic which he has a particular take on electronic sounds, which is kind of good because it's quite different to mine. But he can make things sound fat and shiny, whereas I just make them sound like they're exploding.
It seems like there's a lot of samples on this record. Are these samples that you've been collecting for a long time, or
there are sort of there's sort of beats and sounds and stuff that's very much part of the whole Radiohead studio. I mean, it's stuff that's why it's kind of difficult to say it's a solo record, because these are sounds and stuff that have been generated over the years that I just compiled on my laptop, and when I reach for things, there they are, Not all of it's that, but an awful lot of it is that. But also, I was really interested in the sort of clash between having like a live performance against samples, so you don't have that sort of where it's a completely linear thing where things are just repeating for the sake of it. So there's actually quite a lot of live playing on it as well. And
your vocals, really, there's a lot of room for your vocals on this record.
Yeah, well, that was the odd thing. That was the bit I was very surprised about. I mean, when we initially started doing it, we didn't expect... I personally certainly didn't expect songs to come out of it. I mean, they very much came out of sort of doodles and experiments on my laptop that sort of took on a life of their own, and the more we isolated the good bits, which was obviously the bit I found hard, the more it was like, oh, well, actually, this... I was sort of responding to it and wanting to sing with it, so that it was that weird thing where I didn't go into this project with any of these songs at all. The only thing I would say that was coherently musical was the chords on the first track, The Eraser, which Johnny wrote, and I sampled and reassembled. So it was kind of bizarre.
So the songs just sort of came organically.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't looking at it in terms of writing vocals initially.
Uh-huh.
I was just putting riffs down, and then the more I assembled them together, but there wasn't I wasn't sitting in front of a piano and saying I'm going to now write this song. But the interesting thing, in order to complete the songs, that's what I had to go and do.
Right.
I actually had to go and learn how to play it all. Well, on a lot of them anyway, because I couldn't finish the lyrics because I was kind of out of my depth.
Well, what a period of discovery that must have been.
It was, but the mad thing was, it was just really fun. It wasn't stressful because because it felt like no one was watching and no one would give a damn anyway, and it felt like it was a sort of secret thing. And then as we got to the end of it, it was like, well, we need to put this out, don't we?
Right.
That's why it was fun. The heat was off. There was no pressure or anything. It was just an excuse to hang out.
Yeah. And, I've heard a few songs from it, and your vocals are really soulful, too, which is something that really came across to me.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, I thought so, yeah. And lyrically, it was interesting as well. I mean,
it's kind of nasty element to it.
Yeah.
Sense of foreboding, which is not exactly what I call unusual.
Well, and with Radiohead, there's so much going on, and the blips and the sounds on this record really, I think, highlights your vocals pretty well. So
I think, that was very much a big thing for Nigel. He really wanted to do that. I mean, there are a few tunes where it's more in the background, like The Clock, but that's because we were kind of looking for a disco thing, which of course it didn't end up being at all. But yeah, he was really up for that. He was really wanted to put the vocals right. I mean, it's quite interesting the different takes on it, because I basically had all this stuff and was having someone else that comes in as a collaboration essentially and says it actually looks like this to anybody else. Right. Is really interesting. And one of the things he was really into was the idea of it being pretty small sounding and pretty acknowledging the fact that it was done out of a laptop, acknowledging the fact that a lot of it was just out of a little box.
Yeah, it's very intimate, and I do like that. I
gave it to a friend of mine yesterday and said, you should listen to this first in a confined space. And he was trying to work out which one.
I've always wondered when someone is a member of a successful band and decides to do a solo project, how does that play with the rest of the band?
They were pretty cool with it. I think I was absolutely dreading telling them, but I just it was one of those things that we all felt that we should stop for a while anyway, because everything was kind of becoming a real drag. It was odd. We needed to go away and work out what to do next and get on with being with our families. And I think there was an element of relief, really, that they wanted me to go on and try this hat on and just get on with it and not always have it in the back of my mind. And it's good because it sort of cleared the air in a way. Is
this anything you would ever consider touring?
I don't think I can. I mean, the others seem to be up for trying to attempt to play it somehow, and that would be cool. That would be great.
Right.
Blur the edges even more, which I like. So.
Well, speaking of tours, you're on one right now.
Oh yes.
And it's for the most part you're playing theaters, but you're also playing a big festival, Bonnaroo.
Yeah, our crew love us. We're like, oh yeah, we'd like to go to a really small theatre. Okay, where are we going to put all these boxes? Yes, well, it came up, and we were kind of, I don't know, the Coachella thing was okay, but we kind of, this sounds more like a festival as we would understand it, so we were kind of excited.
It pretty much is, yeah. It's similar to the festivals that you know back home.
Yeah. And you can play for a long time as well.
Yes, you can.
I don't know
There's
if
no
that's
curfew.
a good idea.
There is no curfew on a farm in the middle of Tennessee.
Really? Oh my God.
Now, are you doing pretty much the same stage set?
No, well, I mean, tomorrow I think we'll sort of try and assemble the good bits that we have learned so far. But we're changing the set all the time, which can be an easy thing to do or a total nightmare.
Well, I think the most exciting thing for Radiohead fans, and it's really a testament to how open they are and accepting they are of your music, that you're playing so many new songs on this tour.
I can't believe we can get away with it.
8 songs. Songs that, for the most part, no one has heard. 9, and no one has heard these songs, really.
Well, you can go on
Not
YouTube.
legally.
They're all over YouTube, plus my silly dancing.
Well, that's always fun, though.
Yeah. So, yeah, they are out there. I mean, we kind of knew they would be out there a little bit. And we were just desperate to sort of just get out.
Just to get out.
Just get out of the house and go and do something.
Right. Well, you don't have a label right now for Radiohead, is that right?
No, we don't. No.
So you got to get out and play them.
Got to, really. Yeah, I mean, we're just going round and round in circles in the studio for ages. We were trying to sort of do it on our own for a while, and it just didn't work out. And it was like, and we weren't really focused. And then funnily enough, as soon as we decided to go out and play in front of people, everything came to focus extremely sharply in the space of 7 weeks, not surprisingly.
Well, I think the interesting thing is all the reviews I've read of the show and on your fan sites as well, all they talk about is the new music. So it's exciting music, and it seems that, at least the way people are describing it, it's a little more, I don't know, rock, a little more.
I mean, I think that at the moment that's simply because these are the instruments we have in front of us.
Right.
Doesn't necessarily. I mean, that's how we're having to interpret things. There are like definitely full-on ones, full-on rock tunes, but there's ones that will definitely twist and turn into something way more strange.
Right, so you'll change them when you go in the studio.
Yeah,
probably.
I mean, this is the thing that we have to keep reminding ourselves. I mean, it's kind of interesting, really, because Nigel's going to come out on tour with us for a while, and it'll be interesting to hear what sort of take someone else has coming into it cold. Because you get what works on stage is most definitely not necessarily going to work in the studio at all.
Well, we're really excited about hearing those songs, and I know that after Bonnaroo, you're coming to Chicago.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you're doing two shows.
That's good.
At the Auditorium Theater. Are you familiar with that theater at all?
We might have we played there before.
I don't think so, but it's a theater that was built in the 1890s.
Oh, wicked!
By Louis Sullivan, who's a well-known architect in Chicago, and Frank Lloyd Wright was his apprentice at the time.
Wow! And they forgot to knock it down.
Yes, it's still there. So it's quite beautiful. So it's going to be a great place to see you on Monday and Tuesday. And the last time I did see you guys play was when you were at Hutchinson Field in Grant Park.
Oh my God!
The outdoor festival was just beautiful.
Man. That was a nuts gig.
It really was. But in the crowd, though, for such a large crowd like that in the front yard of the city, it was one of the most manageable shows. And what a wonderful
everyone was
time!
Extremely mellow. I wonder why.
Well, we can only speculate, I suppose.
They must be tired.
Well, I want to thank you for stopping by and talking with us, and good luck on the new record, Eraser, which comes out on the 11th of July. And when you go back in the studio and put the new radio songs to whatever tweaking you do with them,
whatever mangle they go through.
When do you think that might be?
God knows. I don't know. I mean, you'd have to go through track by track, really, which would be at this stage utterly dull. Yeah.
So do you think there's any time soon when you'll be going in the studio to do this?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're desperate. We are now desperate. I mean, just to sort of
Well, desperation so often breeds wonderful success.
Yeah, I tell you, it certainly does. Without it, you don't get anywhere.